All right, so let's start with the today's session. So hopefully now the audio and video is clear. Audio and video is clear now. All right. So starting with the tachyarrhythmia section, and in the tachyarrhythmia section, yesterday we have classified according to the origin. It is of two types. One is the origin is above bundle of his, and second is the origin below bundle of his, below the bundle of his. So supraventricular origin tachyarrhythmias, the origin can be at three locations. One is SA node, second is atria, and third is the AV node. AV node. So these are the three areas which can become excitable more than their intrinsic physiological limits. So they become more excitable. So they will be responsible for that origin. So SA node, atria, AV node can be the origin of supraventricular tachyarrhythmias. And in all these three conditions, the QRS complex will be normal because the impulse to the ventricle will be going through via bundle of his. So QRS will be width will be normal in these cases. So starting with the first one, that is a SA node origin. So the description of first is the description of SA node origin. It is the increase SA node atomicity. There is increase in the SA node atomicity. And why this increase in the SA node atomicity occur? There are various reasons. This atomicity can be because of, say, fever. It can be because of exercise, or it can be because of the hyperthyroidism. So these will be the usual clinical history will be given to us: fever, exercise, or hyperthyroidism. So there will be increase SA node atomicity. There will be increase in the SA node atomicity. And SA node will be the pacemaker of the heart. That means SA node is depolarizing atria followed by ventricles. Followed by ventricles. So this is the description, and this diagnosis is known as sinus tachycardia. So there is a increase SA node atomicity, increase in the SA node atomicity, and SA node is the pacemaker of the heart, and it is depolarizing the atria followed by the ventricle. This is known as diagnosis: sinus tachycardia. This is known as the sinus tachycardia. So how the ECG will be there? What is the diagnostic criteria in the ECG? So we will translate these words into the ECG. So the first sentence is increase in the SA node atomicity. So it will be heart rate more than 100 per minute. Heart rate will be more than 100 per minute. Normal rate of the SA node is 60 to 100. But SA node now is starting depolarizing with a rate of more than 100. That is not a normal rate. So more than 100 will be the heart rate. And the second one, SA node is depolarizing the atria followed by the ventricle. So the second criteria for diagnosis of sinus tachycardia will be each P wave followed by QRS complex. Followed by QRS complex. So this is the only and only diagnosis that you need to know for sinus tachycardia. Only 2 points. Heart rate will be more than 100 and each normal P wave will be followed by QRS complex. So we are just translating the statements into the ECG. So this is the box for diagnosis of sinus tachycardia. Diagnosis of sinus tachycardia. Now visualize the ECG. Are our criteria fulfilled for the sinus tachycardia? So first we will calculate the heart rate, and in this diagram the heart rate will be 1500 divided by RR interval. 1500 divided by RR interval. So it is approximately so this is the RR interval. So here in this case, heart rate is equal to 1500 divided by 11. So approximately it will be like 150, approximately. Just a rough this thing 150. So it is more than 100. Now then we will see. Is each P wave followed by QRS complex, and what is a normal P wave? Remember, normal P wave, we look into the lead 2. Normal P wave in lead 2 is a positive P wave. It is a positive P wave. So here if you can see from this cycle, here is the P wave. This is the P wave. This is a P wave. So these are the P waves which are seen. And how to identify the P wave? Remember, whenever there are two waves between the QRS complex, listen this trick very carefully in your exam, because no examiner will give you the labeling कि this is a P wave and this is a T wave. So remember, whenever there are two waves between the QRS complex, the easy way, shortcut it, the preceding wave before QRS is P, and if it is a T wave, that will be after QRS complex, after QRS complex. And you can see the P and T wave, they are not same in morphology, they are different in the morphology, they are different in the morphology. So you can very well identify that the wave after QRS will be a T wave and the wave before the QRS is a P wave, and they are totally different in morphology, So here each P is followed by QRS complex, each P is followed by QRS complex. So this satisfies our criteria of the sinus tachycardia. Yes, PR interval will be constant here, And the treatment of sinus tachycardia, is treat the underlying disorder. So the treatment of this condition is treat underlying cause. What if there is only one wave between the QRS complex? Then consider that wave as a T wave. If there is only one wave between two QRS complex, so by default consider it as only T wave if there is only one wave in between. Now coming to the second origin, so the SA node origin, there is only one arrhythmia, sinus tachycardia, that's it. Now come to the atrial origin. So atrial origin, we have three types of arrhythmias depending on the atrial rate, which lead to C. We will see it in lead to. How athletes have bradycardia? Athletes have increased vagal tone during the resting state. So bradycardia. Exercise, it is an acute condition. Even if athlete run, heart rate will increase because of the increased demand acutely. Now, coming to the second origin, atrial origin. So, in the atrial origin, so come to the atrial origin. So there will be the first arrhythmia, and that arrhythmia is known as atrial tachycardia. Atrial tachycardia. So this is the first arrhythmia from the atrial origin. So what happens here? The atrial fiber become more excitable. Their excitability is more than the SA node. What is the normal SA node excitability physiologically? Till 100. But if atrial fiber excitability increase more than 100, then they become the pacemaker. Then they will become the pacemaker. So in the atrial tachycardia, first one is atrial tachycardia. There is increased atrial fiber excitability. So the atrial rate here is, there is atrial ectopics rate 100 to 250 per minute. So the meaning of the ectopic we have done earlier. Ectopic is any depolarization which is not due to SA node. Any depolarization which is not due to SA node is the ectopic. And here the atrial fiber excitability is increased. Atrial fiber excitability is increased. So the atrial ectopic rate is at a rate of 100 to 250 per minute. Now, what will happen? So atrial fiber of what? Atrial fiber of atria. Atrial fiber will be in the atria. So they are excitable, and their excitability rate is 100 to 250. Now what will happen? All these atrial impulses will travel the AV node. Reason being, the maximum conduction rate of AV node is up to 250 per minute. So maximum conduction rate of the AV node, maximum conduction rate of the AV node is up to 250. Beyond that, AV node can't conduct, because AV node is the slowest conducting tissue in the body. So it conduct up to at a rate of 250. Therefore, you can very well see the rate 250. Tachycardia is up to 250. So what will happen? All the atrial impulses, so all these all atrial impulses will be conducted to ventricles. via AV node, via the AV node. So the AV node will conduct all these impulses to the ventricle, because the maximum AV node can conduct is till 250. So that means the ECG description of the atrial tachycardia is if maximum rate of AV node is 250, then why the idioventricular rate is so less? Because idioventricular rate is from below the AV node, below the bundle of his. It is not from the AV node. It is not from the AV node. So up to 250, all impulses of atria can be conducted to the ventricle, because AV node will become as a rate limiting structure, So now what will happen in this condition? The ECG description. So the ECG description will be all atrial impulses will be conducted to the ventricle. So it will be translated into all the atrial impulses are conducted to the ventricle. That means each P will be followed by QRS. That is the translation. That is the translation of this atrial tachycardia. All the atrial impulses are conducted to the ventricle. Where will the impulse from SA node go now? They will not go, because of a property. SA node is normal, but whenever SA node is trying to send its impulse to the atria is in a depolarized state, is in a absolute refractory state, because atria has its own pacemaker. So SA node will not be able to transfer its impulses to the atria, because whenever it try to transfer its impulse to the atria, it will find atria in a absolute refractory state. Now each P will be followed by QRS, and the heart rate here will be the rate of atria, because all the atrial impulses are going to the ventricles. So heart rate will be equal to atrial rate. That means it will be 100 to 250. So how then it is different from a sinus tachycardia? How it is different from the sinus tachycardia? So it is different because here the P wave are not normal. If you can look closely, in the above sinus tachycardia, each normal P followed by QRS, but here each abnormal P, here the P wave is abnormal, because it is from the atrial ectopic. So the P wave will be abnormal. So each abnormal P wave will be followed by QRS, and heart rate will be equal to 100 to 250. So this is the description that you will be needing to make a diagnosis of atrial tachycardia. So won't there be any AV nodal block? Unlikely. Usually all the atrial impulses will be going to the ventricle. So here AV block usually does not occur. Now, coming to the description of the ECG, here first we will understand what is the meaning of abnormal P wave. So remember, abnormal P wave is abnormal P wave. Here will be either negative P wave, if we are talking about in lead 2, or pointed or slurring. So this is the meaning of the abnormal P wave. This is the meaning of the abnormal P wave or ectopic. Usually in lead 2 we see a positive P wave, but here the P wave will be negative. It will be negative, or so we'll make the diagrams. Either it will be a negative P wave like this, or it can be pointed P wave like this, or there will be a slurring of P wave like this. So any bizarre morphology of the P wave will be known as a abnormal P wave. Abnormal P wave. So slurring means it is not smooth. It is not smooth. So yes, wherever there is a focus, it will determine the P wave morphology. It will determine the P wave morphology. For example, if the focus is atrial ectopic is, say for example, this is right atria. This is left atria, SA node, SA node. Now, if this is lead to here, positive pole, positive pole is here. Positive pole is here. So look at the diagram. Look at the diagram. So we come to the causes. We come to the causes of the atrial tachycardia. Why number of P wave equal to number of QRS? When ectopic is there, more QRS will be there. Yes. So more number of P wave number will be equal to QRS. So if the number of P wave is more, number of QRS will automatically be more, because each P is conducted to the atrial impulse is going to the ventricles, Now what will happen in the scenario number 1? If ectopic is here, the atrial ectopic is here in the inferior part of the right atria, So what will happen in this condition? The atria is depolarized from inferior to superior direction. So this will be showing if the atrial ectopic is here, we will get to see a negative P wave, because if the atrial ectopic is present here, atrial depolarization will be inferior to superior direction. So in the lead 2 we will get a negative P wave. So this focus is depolarizing very fast, producing a negative P wave, and each P wave will be followed by a QRS complex. So this is just one example how it will have a negative P P wave. So the atrial depolarization will be from the inferior to superior direction, but the ventricle depolarization will be superior to inferior, superior to inferior. So what will be the ECG look like? This is one example that I have given you. So in this example, there will be, this is the diagram of the atrial tachycardia. So this is a diagram of the atrial tachycardia, one of the diagram of the atrial tachycardia. So this will have the P wave, here are abnormal P wave, they are inverted, they are inverted. And this is an example of, example, if atrial ectopic is from single site, from a single site. This is an example. This is an example of the atrial tachycardia when the atrial ectopic is from a single site. So the morphology of each P wave will be same. Morphology of each P wave will be same in this condition, in this condition. So if the atrial ectopic is from a single site, each abnormal P will be same morphology. Each abnormal P wave will be same morphology. So this is known as unifocal atrial tachycardia. Unifocal atrial tachycardia. Look, if it is a ectopic, the site can be any site. This can make the abnormality, any abnormality, like it can be a pointed, it can be a slurring, it can be a bizarre P wave, it will be a negative P wave. So just remember this, ectopic can origin from any side, make the morphologies very different, make the morphology different, very different from a normal P wave, Now, coming to, so for understanding point of view, what is inferior to superior? Inferior to superior means from below upward. Atria is depolarized from below upward. Depolarization wave is going away from the positive pole of lead 2. Away from the positive pole of lead 2. So let me see how many of you have revised your notes, understood your notes accurately. So my question to you is, now the question is, what is the single site? Single site means only one atrial fiber has become excitable, and that is the site which is continuously producing the tachycardia, atrial tachycardia. Now, my question to you is, in this example, listen to the question very carefully. In this example, when the atrial ectopic is producing a negative P wave in lead 2, my question is, in which ECG lead in this example you will get a positive P wave? In this example, if the atrial location is inferior, atrial ectopic position is inferior, which ECG lead you will get a positive P wave in this example? In this, lead 2 is showing a negative one, but which one? So let me see. Oh, very good. So it will be, yes, very nice, very good. So the AVR will have a positive P wave. Very good. Because the impulse is now going towards the AVR lead. Impulse is going towards the AVR lead in this example. In this example. Very nice. So now coming to, so this was the example where there is a unifocal atrial tachycardia. The atrial ectopic is from a single site. Atrial ectopic is from a single site. Now there can be the abnormality where, so come to the definition, and last year in November AIMS exam, that question came as a diagram based question, and that question was on atrial tachycardia. So if more than equal to 3 different sites of atrial ectopics, if there are 3 different sites, if there are 3 different sites of atrial ectopic are there, there will be more than equal to 3 different P wave morphologies. There will be more than equal to 3 different P wave morphology in atrial tachycardia. In the atrial tachycardia, they are from different sites. They are, for each cycle it is from different sites. So this is known as multifocal atrial tachycardia. These are known as the multifocal atrial tachycardia. Multifocal atrial tachycardia. And these 3 different P wave morphologies, it can be like in one cycle it will be the inverted P wave, in other cycle it will be a pointed P wave, in other cycle it will merge with the T wave, it will change the morphology of the T wave also. Morphology of the T wave also. Multifocal atrial tachycardia. So multifocal tachycardia means P wave sometime can be negative, sometime can be positive, sometime can be slurred, sometime can be pointed, sometime it can merge with the T wave, changing the T wave morphology, changing the T wave morphology. And in this case, because the atrial ectopic is from different sites, the rate will be irregular. So this will make heart rate will be irregular. Heart rate will be irregular. 2 or 3 foci, then it will be known as, if it is a 2 foci, then still you will call it as by definition unifocal. Multifocal needs 3 or more than 3 different foci. 3 different foci. Any example of pointed will be if it is originating near the interatrial septum. Interatrial septum, it can make it pointed also. Pointed also. Now, so the this is the definition of a multifocal atrial tachycardia, and this question came in your AIMS November 19 exams. AIMS November 19, this question or this diagram came. So what was that diagram? Let's see that diagram. So slightly tough diagram is there, but by other causes you can rule out the diagnosis easily. So let's see this multifocal atrial tachycardia. Yes, very good, very good. There is a very good question came. Can P wave morphology be normal sometime? Yes, P wave morphology can be sometime when the atrial ectopic is coming near the, look at the diagram. Can anyone tell me in this diagram? So this is a very good conceptual question came. Can the P wave morphology be normal? And if the P wave morphology is normal, you can't differentiate it from the sinus tachycardia. Yes, where will be the focus? Atrial ectopic focus, where P wave will be normal in this example. It will be near which structure? Near the SA node. Yes, very good, very good. So, very important. If atrial ectopic origin near SA node, P wave will be normal and hence can't differentiate it from sinus tachycardia. So, if the atrial ectopic origin is near the SA node, it is near the SA node, then we can't differentiate on the ECG. We can't differentiate it on the ECG from the sinus tachycardia, because here also P wave will be normal. P wave will be normal. Now, coming to the diagram of the multifocal atrial tachycardia. Multifocal atrial tachycardia. This is the diagram. Let's see. So here is the diagram of multifocal atrial tachycardia. So how to recognize this multifocal atrial tachycardia? There should be more than equal to 3 abnormal P waves. 3 different morphologies of the P wave if we have to identify this. And remember, when P and T come almost simultaneously, the T wave morphology will be changed. T wave morphology will be changed. It has to be unifocal. Yes, the example which I gave you will be a unifocal atrial tachycardia. Unifocal atrial tachycardia. So in this example, if I can see the different morphologies of the P wave. Different morphologies of the P wave. First P wave is this P wave. This is a P wave, and it is followed by the QRS complex. QRS complex, and here the T wave is seen, and we can't clearly see the P wave. Here the T and P are coming almost simultaneously. T and P wave. The next wave is T wave, and here the P wave is negative. Negative P wave. Here it is coming. So we can see the morphologies. There are different morphologies of the P wave which can be seen. You can see this is a negative P wave. Negative P wave. Then the other P wave which I can see here is here. So you can see there are different morphologies of the P wave, different morphologies of the P wave, and it is sometimes very difficult to look for these abnormal P waves. Abnormal P waves. They change the T wave morphology also. Slurring of the P wave can also be seen. Now come to the, so this was the diagram, and here you can see the heart rate is irregular. Heart rate is irregular. Now come to the next one. Next is atrial flutter. So before the atrial flutter, the cause of atrial tachycardia, it is mainly the cause of atrial tachycardia. It is usually hypoxia. It is the hypoxia. So hypoxia increases the atrial excitability. causes the hypoxia of atrial tachycardia. So there will be history of COPD will be given. Very importantly, for atrial tachycardia, look at the history of COPD. COPD cause hypoxia, and hypoxia increases the fiber excitability. Treatment: treat the hypoxia. Treat the hypoxia. So this is the atrial tachycardia. Atrial tachycardia. So clinical history, COPD will be given to you. Will be given to you. Now come to the next one, and next is atrial flutter. So next is the atrial flutter. So atrial flutter is the meaning of the atrial flutter description. Description is synchronized atrial depolarization So there will be synchronized atrial depolarization at a rate of 250 to 350 per minute. There is a synchronized atrial depolarization. This is a atrial flutter, the second origin of atrial origin supraventricular tachyarrhythmias. So atrial depolarization is happening at a rate of 250 to 350 per minute, but AV node can't conduct at such a fast rate. So there will be mandatory AV block will occur. Mandatory, because AV node can't conduct. Synchronized means meaning of synchronized is all the atrial fiber are depolarizing like this in a synchronized manner. And when atrial fiber all are depolarizing in a synchronized manner, P wave will be generated. P wave will be generated synchronized. Synchronized means effective. All the fibers simultaneously, almost simultaneously. So synchronized atrial depolarization with a rate of 250 to 350 per minute, that is a atrial rate. But all these atrial impulses will not be going to the ventricle. AV node block will occur. Mandatory. AV node mandatory will occur. As a result, the ventricle will receive less impulses. So that means each atrial impulse will not be conducted to ventricles. This is the meaning. Each atrial impulse will not be conducted to the ventricle, will not be conducted to the ventricles. As a result, ventricle rate will be less than the atrial rate. So as a result, ventricle rate, that is heart rate, will be less than atrial rate. Why AV block? Because AV node can't conduct the impulses more than 250 per minute, more than 250 per minute. How heart rate is above 250? No, heart rate here is not above 250. Here the heart rate will be less than the atrial rate. Know the difference between these terms. Atrial rate, heart rate. Heart rate means ventricle contraction rate. Ventricle contraction rate. Now, coming to the description in the ECG. So, atria is depolarizing at a rate of 250 to 350 per minute. Now, come to the description in the ECG. So, the description in the ECG will be description. Here the atrial rate will be between 250 to 350. So the P wave will be coming very fast. P wave will be coming very fast, and each P not followed by QRS. Each P will not be followed by the QRS. Will not be followed by the QRS. So this is the description. Atrial impulse will not be conducted to the ventricle. So that means each P wave is not followed by QRS complex. QRS complex. So here in most of the cases of atrial flutter, the AV block is fixed. Fixed means for every cardiac cycle the conduction ratio will be the same. Conduction ratio from atria to ventricle, like 2:1, it will be same throughout the cycle. 4:1, it will be same throughout the cycle. The P wave here will be abnormal, and in this diagram, now come to the diagram. So first is the important description of the atrial flutter. Synchronized atrial depolarization at a rate of 250 to 350 per minute, and not all these impulses will be going to the ventricle. So the each P will not be followed by QRS complex. Each P will not be followed by the QRS complex. Now look at this diagram carefully. Look at this diagram carefully. Here the P wave, if you can see, the P waves are pointed. P waves are pointed here. So here is the P wave. P wave. These are the 4 P waves. All are same morphology. All are the same morphology. So these are the P waves. These are the P waves. All are of same morphology. All are of same morphology. So these P waves which are coming very fast, these P wave are known as a pattern. These P waves are a sawtooth P wave appearance. So this is a very important hallmark here. The P wave is sawtooth P wave appearance. P wave appearance. So they are coming very fast. So these are the abnormal P waves. So they become pointed. They are pointed P waves. They can be negative also. Remember, they can be negative also. So look at the diagram carefully. Look at the diagram very carefully. These are the sawtooth P wave appearance. Now some of my questions to make your concepts clear. So first question, my first question to you is, in this example, tell me what is the atrial rate. and I will give you the formula for the atrial rate. In our first lecture we have done atrial rate is 1500 divided by the PP interval. So what is the atrial rate in this example? What is the atrial rate in this example? Yes, the distance between two P waves here is clear cut. It is 5. Distance between two P waves, it is 5 millimeters. So the atrial rate here is 300. So it is going in favor of atrial flutter. So this was the first observation from this diagram. Now come to the second observation. Second observation is, what is the conduction ratio from atria to ventricles? Conduction ratio from atria to ventricles. After how many P waves one QRS complex is coming? Conduction ratio from atria to ventricle. After how many P waves one QRS is coming? So that conduction ratio from atria to ventricles. It is, yes, 4:1 is the conduction ratio. 4:1 is the conduction ratio, means after 4 atrial impulses one QRS is coming. So after the 4 P waves you see the one QRS complex. So in this ECG the conduction ratio from atria to ventricles is 4:1. That means 4 P waves and 1 QRS complex. That is the conduction ratio. It can be the conduction ratio can be different or it can be fixed. So it is can be fixed also. In this example it is a fixed ratio. Now coming to the third question. My third question is, in this example what is the heart rate? So first question was the atrial rate. This you have given the answer. Then the conduction ratio. Now the next question is, what is the heart rate in this example? Heart rate means ventricle rate. So ventricle rate in this case will be 1/4 of atrial rate. That means 75 per minute. 75 per minute is the heart rate in this example, and in this the AV node is very useful. Why AV node is very useful? Because it has blocked all the impulses. It has blocked the atrial impulses to go to the ventricles. So heart rate is preserved here. In this case. Now come to the as a student, the question will come in my mind, where is the T wave? Where is the T wave in this example? Where has the T wave gone? So remember, here the atrial depolarization is powerful and hence the T is hidden by P wave. So T wave hidden by P wave. Hidden by the P wave, because every wave here is a similar wave. So that will be a P wave. And it is hiding the underlying T wave. Can we calculate heart rate by RR interval here? Yes, from RR interval if you can calculate, you will get the same answer. That it is 75 per minute. So how does the patient of atrial flutter will present? The patient of atrial flutter will present to you with the main complaint of the palpitations. Palpitations will be the main problem in these patients. Now the atrial fibrillation. Flutter versus fibrillation. Now you will see the difference. You will see the difference here, how it is different from the flutter. Treatment of this we will do along with the treatment of atrial fibrillation, because the treatment is usually similar. It is usually similar with the fibrillation. So come to the atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation. So the atrial fibrillation is the most important description. Most important description here is it is asynchronized. It is asynchronized, and it is a asynchronized atrial depolarization at a rate of more than 350 per minute. It is a atrial depolarization, but here the atrial depolarization is the asynchronized. It is asynchronized atrial depolarization. So what is the meaning of the asynchronized atrial depolarization? In this, suppose these are the individual fiber of the atria. Each fiber is depolarizing like this. Each fiber, individual fiber. What is the synchronized? Synchronized is this depolarization is synchronized, effective, and this depolarization is asynchronized, ineffective contraction of the atria, ineffective contraction of the atria. So this will lead to, because all these impulses will not conduct to the AV node, so there will be AV block will occur. AV block will occur, and this is usually a variable AV block. So here the AV block is variable. So it means each atrial impulse will not be conducted to ventricles. So each atrial impulse will not be conducted to the ventricles. I am saying atrial impulse. So each fiber is generating the atrial impulse. Each fiber is generating the atrial impulse. So as a result, because of this variable AV block, this is a very important defining feature. Variable means in some cardiac cycle the ratio will be different, in the other the ratio will be different. So because of the different conduction ratio, variable means different conduction ratio from atria to ventricles, heart rate here is irregular. And less than atrial rate, less than the atrial rate. So if there is a problem of streaming, so we'll take a 2 minutes of break here. So 2 minutes of break we can take. All right, so the description of atrial fibrillation. There is asynchronized atrial depolarization at a rate of more than 350 per minute. So here the individual fibers are depolarizing. As a result, AV block will occur. And these atrial impulses are coming randomly to the AV node from different sides of the atria. So they will cause variable AV block. As a result, each atrial impulse will not be conducted to the ventricles, and heart rate will be less than the atrial rate, and heart rate will be typically irregular heart rate. So the ECG of this atrial fibrillation. So let's understand some of the concepts of the atrial fibrillation. So in this condition, we will get to see the electrical activity of individual atrial fibers. Electrical activity of the individual atrial fiber will be seen because it is a synchronized depolarization, not a synchronized one. And this electrical activity of individual atrial fiber is very small amplitude. So electrical activity of individual atrial fibers is a very small amplitude, but the rate of these depolarization is very fast. As a result, when we'll see this electrical activity of the individual atrial fiber, which is a very small, we will get to see this type of electrical activity like this. This is the fluctuation of individual fibers. The P wave will not be seen. The typical P wave will be absent here. So in this condition, electrical activity of individual fiber is seen, and this is a very small amplitude of the electrical activity. So this electrical activity of individual fiber is known as the F wave. So these small activity is known as fibrillatory waves. P wave will not be seen because it is asynchronized activity. So the first important description of the ECG of fibrillation is very important point here. The P wave will be absent. And these small activities, if you can see the ECG, these are the small atrial activities, and these are producing a baseline fluctuation, and that is known as the F wave seen. F wave will be seen, fibrillatory waves. Then sawtooth can be called as a capital F. Yes, capital F will be a flutter wave, And the third important point of atrial fibrillation is irregular heart rate. So heart rate is irregular. So these are the important points or criteria for atrial fibrillation in the ECG. Atrial fibrillation in the ECG. These are the important points. P wave will not be seen, F wave will be seen, and heart rate will be irregular. Heart rate will be irregular. So why P wave is absent? Because it is asynchronized atrial depolarization. Asynchronized means each fiber is depolarizing independent of each other. When it is a synchronized one, then electrical activity is strong to create a P wave, Now, in this diagram, if we look carefully, the heart rate is totally irregular. The QRS complex intervals are all variable. QRS complex, they are all variable intervals, because the conduction ratio from atria to ventricle is different for each cycle, Why variable AV blocks? Because the impulse is coming from different parts of the atria to the AV node, from different locations it is coming to the AV node, so that will cause a variable block, and T wave in this case is usually present. T wave will be usually present. In this diagram it is not seen, so that could be one of the exception, but here the T wave is usually present. T wave is usually present. Now, coming to the atrial fibrillation is a very important topic, and important topic from the treatment point of view also. Point of view also. So let's see the treatment of the atrial fibrillation. How to calculate the heart rate in this? This we have done in our class 1, where heart rate was irregular. If you can recall back. Now, coming to the atrial fibrillation, mainly the treatment point of view. So, treatment of atrial fibrillation. And same treatment of atrial flutter. Almost same is the treatment of atrial flutter. What is the cause? The cause of the atrial fibrillation is atrial fiber stretch. So, any disease which is causing the atrial fiber to stretch, ectopics are released, and these ectopic, when they start depolarizing in a random manner, this is known as the atrial fibrillation, atrial fiber stretch. And this atrial fiber stretch can be because of various conditions, and these conditions are the left atrial enlargement. So it could be because of left atrial enlargement, which was seen in cases of, if you can recall back, left atrial enlargement was seen due to mitral stenosis, mitral regurgitation, or systemic hypertension. Or maybe other conditions like cardiomyopathies, atrial fiber stretching can occur. Also, atrial fiber can also be a stretch because of cardiomyopathies. Or it can be atrial septal defect. Where the right atria is stressed, right atria is stressed. So any cause of atrial fiber stretching can lead to the ectopic formation. So these are the usual causes. Now come to the atrial fibrillation treatment. Atrial fibrillation treatment depends upon patient hemodynamically. So patient is hemodynamically stable or unstable. These are the two conditions. So if a patient is hemodynamically unstable due to decreased cardiac output as the ventricle filling time reduces. So remember, in tachycardia, if the ventricle rate is fast, ventricle will get less time. Ventricle will get less time for filling. As a result, cardiac output will reduce. Cardiac output will reduce. So patient will be in a unstable condition. And in the clinical question, the clues for unstable patient is look at the clinical history. If systolic BP is less than 90 given, or shock word is mentioned, these are the clinical clues in the exam. In a clinical scenario, patient is unstable. So in that condition, immediately you go for a DC shock. You go for a DC shock, and the DC shock in cases of the atrial flutter is slightly less. In atrial flutter, we give usually 50 to 150 joules. While atrial fibrillation, we give a slightly strong current. Fibrillation 150 to 200 joules. Usual doses. Remember, it can vary from book to book, but these are the usual doses of the DC shock. DC shock. Now come to the stable patient. So in the stable patient, the first step or first priority is, number one step is control fast ventricle rate. What is DC shock? DC shock is a external current from outside. So when we give a external current from outside, that current suppresses internal electrical activity temporary, and then SA node get the time for its normal impulse given to the atria. So external current goes and suppress all the abnormal activities temporary, and after some time the SA node will start depolarizing the atria normal fashion. Now the stable patient, the first step is control the fast ventricle rate. And how it is controlled? By blocking AV node further. Though AV node block is there, that is a natural AV block, but we will block it further so that less impulse will go to the ventricles. So the drug of choice for this purpose in both the conditions, flutter and fibrillation, is the beta blockers. But if contraindicated, if beta blocker is contraindicated, like a case of asthma, then we give calcium channel blockers. Now, digoxin. Remember, digoxin is now very less used in such condition. First reason, it is a slow-acting drug, and second is its side effects are more. Its side effects are more, so it is reserved for refractory cases. So, digoxin only in refractory cases. Now, the second step, what you have to do, you have to step number 2, convert atrial fibrillation into sinus rhythm. So the second step is can't we give cardioselective beta blocker? Remember, even cardioselective beta blockers like metoprolol are contraindicated in asthma. They have some affinity for the airways also. So we do not take that risk, even the cardioselective. Now, convert the atrial fibrillation into the sinus rhythm, and this step is known as cardioversion. This step is known as the cardioversion. So, how this is done? Cardioversion is done by two methods. One is, of course, DC shock. One is the DC shock, or second is Ibutylite. Ibutylite. But this step can be dangerous. This step of cardioversion can be dangerous. Reason being, if atrial fibrillation is duration of more than 48 hours, there is the blood stasis in atria. And blood stasis and atria can increase the risk of atrial thrombus. Atrial thrombus. So, if atrial thrombus is present, if the atrial thrombus is present, so what will happen when you do the sinus rhythm? So, atria will contract effectively, and that atrial thrombus will embolize. The atrial thrombus can embolize. Sinus rhythm is present. Sinus rhythm is present. So atrial thrombus can embolize in the brain, can cause death of the patient, can cause the death of the patient, and that will be dangerous. That will be dangerous. Therefore, before the cardioversion, we do the echocardiography to rule out the atrial thrombus. So remember, before this step, before cardioversion, do transesophageal echo to rule out atrial thrombus. To rule out the atrial thrombus. So therefore we do a transesophageal echo that is very sensitive to detect the atrial thrombus. So before this procedure, before the cardioversion, Do transesophageal echo, TEE, short form is TEE, to rule out the atrial thrombus. Suppose if it is present, first give anticoagulation, and when it disappears, then go for the cardioversion. This is a stable patient. This arm of treatment we are doing for a stable patient. For unstable, it is immediately DC shock. It is immediately DC shock. So the second step is the cardioversion, and remember the cardioversion should be done only after the transesophageal echo. Why stasis is present? Because atria is not depolarizing in a synchronized manner, and atria is depolarizing like this. It is not effective contractions, so blood stasis occur in the atria. Blood stasis will occur in the atria, and blood stasis cause thrombus formation. What is the use of echo? Use of the echo is to rule out the atrial thrombus. Now coming to the third step, and the third step is maintenance of sinus rhythm. So especially in recurrence cases, so sometime what can happen, the atrial fibrillation despite the cardioversion can recur. So we have to maintain it into a sinus rhythm, and we will go for the drug of choice here is amiodarone. If there is thrombus formation, we first give anticoagulation, and then we go for the cardioversion. Anticoagulation is usually given for 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, the thrombus dissolve with anticoagulation therapy. Now come to, so this was the treatment of the atrial fibrillation. Now the next one is the AV node origin. So before the AV node origin tachyarrhythmia, so if we revise, we have done SA node origin, sinus tachycardia, then we have done 3 atrial origins: atrial tachycardia, atrial flutter, and atrial fibrillation. Now coming to the next one, before the next one, let me see how many of you can give me this answer. So what is this accessory pathway? This we have done earlier. Yes, this is LGL syndrome, and this is a James pathway, accessory pathway. It is a accessory pathway, and this accessory pathway conduct faster than the AV node, and one of the typical feature of these accessory pathway is these accessory pathway can conduct anterograde and retrograde. These are the accessory pathway, and they can conduct anterograde. They can take the impulse downward, as well as they can take the impulse upward also. They can take the impulse upward also. So when these pathways are conducting, the PR interval was short. PR interval was short and QRS complex was normal. QRS complex was normal. So what happens? Sometimes these accessory pathways can make a re-entry loop. So there can be a re-entry loop which can be created because of these accessory pathways. So let's see how that re-entry loop will be created. So the re-entry loop is created. This is a very important terminology, re-entry. Re-entry. This is a very important concept here. So this re-entry loop is usually created by premature atrial ectopic before next SA node impulse. Re-entry loop is created by a premature atrial ectopic. Remember, in our heart, occasionally some premature ectopics are also generated even in a healthy individual, even in a healthy individual, even in the healthy individual, premature atrial ectopic. So what happens? Suppose this is a premature atrial ectopic here. Premature atrial ectopic. Now focus on the pathway. Focus on the pathway. So what will happen because of this premature atrial ectopic? Here is the, so just for an example, the P wave will be inverted. This is a premature atrial ectopic that has started the process. That has started the process. So this premature atrial ectopic, it will travel in this direction. So downward, premature atrial ectopic. Why premature? They can occur in even in a normal healthy individual without any reason. Without any reason. So now what will happen? This impulse will go downward and depolarize the ventricles. It will depolarize the ventricles. This premature atrial ectopic, and at the same time this will enter the accessory pathway. And because of this accessory pathway, it will re-enter the atria. So because of the premature impulse, it enters the AV node and it will depolarize the ventricle, and at the same time it will travel back to the atria very fast, very fast, and it will make a re-entry loop. It will make a re-entry loop pathway in the atria. Yes, it will be, if p waves are seen, they will be inverted p wave. They will be the inverted p wave if p waves are to be seen. Now coming to the this is a re-entry loop, how it is created, now coming to, so remember this basic fundamental, it is asked in your exams. Re-entry loop, how it is created. It is created by a premature atrial ectopic. It is created by a premature atrial ectopic, and this re-entry loop will circulate. It will continuously circulate. So as a result, this re-entry loop will depolarize ventricles and atria almost simultaneously. Or atria slightly after the QRS. Now the second important point is plus the velocity of re-entry loop is constant. So two things you have to remember. The re-entry loop will start depolarizing the ventricles and the atria almost simultaneously. And the velocity of each re-entry loop is a constant velocity. It is circulating with a constant velocity, and remember, it is an indefinite loop. Unless you give the treatment to the patient, it will keep on circulating. Can p wave come after QRS? Yes, p wave can come after the QRS also, but this is a very fast rate, so very difficult to identify the p wave here. So now let's translate that into the ECG. Re-entry loop will depolarize the ventricle and atria almost simultaneously. So what will happen? P wave will be absent. So here this will translate into P wave absent, or if it is seen, then it will be just after the QRS complex. P wave will be absent. Velocity of each re-entry loop is constant. Heart rate is regular. Why p wave is inverted? Because the impulse is going from below upward. Impulse is going from below inward. It is a circus movement. Yes, it is a circus movement. This will produce arrhythmia, which you popularly know as PSVT or AVNRT. So this is a cause of PSVT or AVNRT. Now come to the diagram questions and again the description of PSVT. So come to the diagram now. So AV node, here it is PSVT, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. And most common cause is the starting by atrial ectopic, and therefore it is also known as AV node re-entry tachycardia. AV node re-entry tachycardia. So this is AVNRT. This is known as the AVNRT, AV node re-entry tachycardia. There is a re-entry loop in the AV node via the AV node. So that means if we describe the ECG of this condition, ECG of AV nRT ACE, this is due to the re-entry circuit. So here the P waves are absent and heart rate is regular. Heart rate is the regular, and this tachyarrhythmia, it is the most commonly given tachyarrhythmia in your exams. Almost every exam, this is the most commonly given arrhythmia. Even in this All India exam this year in January, one question came from the PSVT. And every time in the Central Institute AIMS exam, there is one question reserved for PSVT. So in this condition, the P wave is absent. And why P wave is absent? Because atria and ventricle are depolarizing almost simultaneously. Now the second one is the velocity of each re-entry cycle is constant, so the heart rate is regular in this condition. And visualize this ECG, because this you will be getting in your exams. This is the typical ECG of the PSVT. Here you can see the P wave is not seen, and what is seen in between? In between it is a T wave which is present. T wave which is seen, and you can see the RR interval is regular. RR interval is regular. So this is the typical description of PSVT. And if a P wave is seen, then it will be inverted P wave just after QRS complex. Why not a junctional rhythm? Remember, what is the meaning of the junctional rhythm? Meaning of the junctional rhythm is AV node is depolarizing with its own rate. And what was the rate? 40 to 60. And here the rate is tachycardia rate more than 100. So therefore it is the sinus arrest will cause the junctional rhythm, that is a bradycardia. Rate will be 40 to 60, and here the rate is more than 100 per minute. Now what in the treatment you have to do? There is the treatment for PSVT. Yes, what we have to do? We have to block one re-entry cycle. If we block one re-entry cycle, then there will be the SA node will start working. So the treatment of the PSVT. Come to the treatment of PSVT. So the treatment of the PSVT will be patient hemodynamically unstable and stable. Treatment of PSVT. The cause of the PSVT is the atrial ectopic which can originate, and predisposing condition is the accessory pathway. That accessory pathway can be of James pathway or can be WPW, the bundle of Kent also. Can be also accessory pathway substrate for PSVT. So in unstable patients, DC shock. And in stable patients, we will try to block the AV node conduction by natural method first. So the first step in the emergency, increase vagal discharge. Increase the vagal discharge, natural method. natural method, we will increase the vagal discharge, and this increase in the vagal discharge will be by carotid massage. And if no relief, give drug of choice. So we do the carotid massage, and with carotid massage vagal discharge occur, and that vagal discharge block the AV node conduction. And once a re-entry cycle is stopped, SA node will start working. Drug of choice is adenosine. It is adenosine, 6 milligrams. Now, what was the question in the AIIMS exam? In November AIIMS exam, the question was, if a patient of PSVT is coming to you and you gave carotid massage, you give adenosine, still not recovering, what will you do next? So remember, the protocol was asked for the treatment. So if a patient is not recovering with adenosine, 6 milligram of adenosine we give IV. If there is no relief, then we repeat adenosine. (12 milligrams). So the first dose is 6 milligram of adenosine. If it is not getting any relief, then we repeated 12 milligram dose. But what if even with 12 there is no relief? Then in that case we give DC shock. We give the DC shock. So with this we finish with the supraventricular tachycardias, and we finish with the class for today as well. And in the next class we will complete the remaining portion of the tachycardia. Ventricle tachycardia we will do, and my advice is same as the flow chart of bradyarrhythmia that you have made. Recall that flow chart in tomorrow's class. We will again use that flow chart to make a diagnosis of the tachyarrhythmias. So we'll finish here for the day.